And if someone cuts into that in a funny way, in like a different way, it gives you a moment of release of that tension. And then your mind can be open to other things.
What if there are things we never had the opportunity to learn? We've all been to school or training, but there are things they never taught us that actually make a powerful difference in life. I'm here to share with you all the pieces you've been missing: mindset, health, success, and more. And we'll all learn together from guests along the way. We may not have learned it the traditional way, but oh my goodness, let's keep learning how to do things differently. OMG Teach Me crew, I am happy to be back with you again this week. So, episode 66, just last week, was all about the power that our words have, especially when we catch ourselves complaining as a way of just having a conversation. So, what do we do to switch that pattern? Well, go back and listen to last week's episode for sure. But how about we also find our sense of humor? Humor is powerful. It's one of my favorite things and helps us kind of cut through uncomfortable situations, nerves, and just have more fun. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. So I am so happy to welcome my guest, Rita Desnoyers-Garcia. We had a really fun chat prior to filming and recording this episode. She has been helping women for over 30 years as now a spiritual teacher, speaker, and life coach for stressed out professional moms, as well as a comedian, musician, and author. And that's all after a long career as a social worker in New York City. She has written 3 books: Extraordinary Abundance, Outside of the Box Love Experiments, and the Self-Compassion Project. And you can find out a ton more about her on her website, which we will definitely give you at the end of the episode. So, Rita, I think this is going to be fun. Welcome.
Thank you, Cheryl. And now I'm so curious. I got to listen to that episode before I want to dive into what
Complaining.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to touch on it today too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think we do it as just a habit, honestly. And
Yep.
It's not a good thing. Okay, good. Well, this is a nice little duo then of episodes. And I'm excited to talk to you because first of all, we had fun chatting before, but I just love the approach of coaching and comedy. I love the addition of comedy to anything. I think it helps us just not make things so hard. So how did this become your focus? Tell us a bit of your story.
So humor and comedy and joking around has been with me since the beginning. My first memory of that was when I was 2 or 3 years old, and I'm one of 6 kids, so there was 8 of us around the dinner table. And I remember sitting there as like 3, and I said something, I don't know what it was, but everyone started laughing and smiling.
Mm.
And I remember in my little 3-year-old brain going, this is good. Remember this. Try to do that again really soon.
Yeah.
How can I do this again? How can I recreate this? And I think that's, a lot of when we have something that is our strength, or a lot of times it comes from those very early on, I was really good at this, or I was really good at that, or I was really good at this. And also in my family, I felt like humor was currency. If you could make someone laugh or smile, you had an in with them. So, and it broke up tension in the family. Not that there was a lot of tension in my family. I didn't come from a family where there was a lot, but definitely I was like, that's my currency. That's my in, that's how I get something. That's how I win approval.
I see.
So so much so that when I was in therapy in my 20s in social work school and I was in therapy, I consciously thought, if I start to go to therapy, I'm going to lose my sense of humor. And then where will I be? Because it was so much of part of my in with people.
Mm-hmm. So it can be taken too far, I guess, as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely go into the self-sabotage or the kind of shadow realm where you're overdoing something that you're good at, and then it's too much. So, but I learned over the years that humor, it's just humor. And like any gift, it can be overused so I could still have, I wasn't going to lose it if I got better, right? If I
Yeah.
just want to say, well, the people in therapy, it's okay. You're not going to lose that. It's all right. You're going to be okay. It may even enhance it. I just joked about different things, right?
Right.
My joking came from a different place. It
Yes.
was less
Yes.
about how to make myself feel better about myself or all my insecurities, and became more about brightening up the world,
Love
or
it.
right, or helping someone else feel better so that they had wiggle room and could release a little tension and then move forward. Because that's what a lot of life is, right? Is like these
Yeah.
tense moments where
And
we
you know
don't know
what?
what we're doing next. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking over you. How
No, no,
rude.
no. Go ahead. Talk over me. This is just like my family too, by the way.
And now I hope I can hold on to my train of thought. So, what was it? Oh, you said making other people feel better. And I thought, what a healthy way to do that. Because I think sometimes we belittle ourselves to
Yeah.
make other people feel better. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
And this is just so different from that.
Yeah, I mean, there's self-deprecating humor, which I've definitely used. Once again, it's a tool, so it depends on how you use it. It's like fire, right? You can use fire to cook your meal, or you can use fire to destroy something. So it depends on how you use it. There are many times in my coaching where I'll say, "Look, if I can do it, you can do it." So you could see that as self-deprecating, but really it's just sort of like, "Look, I get it. I got my stuff. You got your stuff, but you can do it."
Yeah. And in that case, you're not actively putting yourself down. You're
No,
just putting everybody in the same
yeah, we're in
wavelength
the
or
same
something.
boat. But a lot of the humor that I use aside from coaching is lamenting, if you will, in a humorous way, life. And a lot of it's about being a mom, because that's sort of my jam. That's where I am in my life.
Yeah.
And there's so many funny things to deal with that. And in fact, when I did my first ever show, which was a graduation show, I had taken a class in stand up, and we had a graduation show, and my whole act was about, more or less, was about being a mom and all the like crazy kooky things that happens. And did it. I got out there, I did my 5 to 7 minutes, and I got off stage, and I went right back to the back of the bar and just like, okay, I'm going to have a glass of wine, just going to chill, have my little moment of congratulations. And this mom came up to me and she said, I have 3 kids too. I never get out. I actually came to see another comedian, but I have to say, you made me laugh so hard I almost peed my pants.
I
Which
love
I thought
that.
was the perfect thing for her to say, because it's like, I know, aren't we all always peeing our pants since we had 3 kids? But I thought it never had occurred to me that I actually helped someone in that moment. I did it purely for my own selfish reasons. It was on my bucket list. I kind of wanted to see if I could do it. I wanted to go out of my comfort zone. I was kind of looking for that next adventure.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I just helped somebody to
Awesome.
laugh, right?
Yeah.
And it helped them in a very specific way. And that really got me a thinking, Cheryl, about, how could I, because at that point I wasn't doing much coaching. I kind of just took a break from coaching. And so when I returned, definitely doing sort of straight coaching, if you will. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how can I bring more humor into that? Because I kind of separated the two.
Mhm.
There's my coaching and then there's my comedy. And so I was always thinking, how can I bring both together a little more?
Well, and this is what interests me so much because I had never talked with anyone before who is doing this combination of coaching and humor. And I love it. My
Yeah.
favorite thing is to laugh. But yet, in my coaching, I never really thought about combining these either. So it's pretty fascinating, actually.
It is. And you do have to be kind of mindful, like my coaching is not my stand-up act, right? So I have
Yeah.
to be like mindful, do it, pick the right moment, you know.
Yes.
I've definitely had to pull back sometimes. I was doing a workshop recently where there was a lot of women, and a lot of them were coming in late, and they gave me a microphone. The lady gave me a microphone, and I automatically just kind of like whoop, like almost turned into, I was just like, you have no idea what you have done right now. You just gave me a microphone. And I was like, just kind of warming up the crowd type thing. And I was just, where are you from? And how, da, 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 da. And there was this woman coming in. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if we all just turned around and said, what took you so long? And then I thought, no, don't do that. Don't do that. because this workshop is about not feeling bad about yourself. I just
Oh,
realized I went over the line on that. Like, don't. And no one did it, but I thought, all right, that's the line.
yeah, yeah,
Even it was
yeah.
joshing, even though it was just kind of like fooling around. I was like, all right, maybe this is not the person to fool around with.
Right, right. Yeah, you have to have a limit somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, but usually the humor is about situations I've been in or I've felt where it's so ridiculous, and then people laugh and they go, "Yeah, I was there too."
Yeah.
Like, what's the next thing that's going to go wrong, right?
Yeah. So that's interesting because it's like it's kind of complaining but not in the way that I'm always telling people to stop complaining. And so what does that humor give us? Like what power does it have? We
Right.
always talk about, laughter the best medicine, but why is this so powerful?
Because it's disarming. It's a different way in. It cuts up the seriousness of something. Because when we're very serious, we're in this heightened state. It's very tense. We're serious. We're very focused. We can't even conceive of other things being possible. This is just the most terrible thing ever, or whatever you're complaining
Right.
about, in the moment. And if someone cuts into that in a funny way, in like a different way, it gives you a moment of release of that tension, and then your mind can be open to other things. Like a good example, I remember being so upset because my first child wasn't using the toilet, right, and all the other kids seemed to get it. My kid didn't get it, and I was all like,
Yes.
and then someone, I forget who, said something like, Rita, she's not going to go to college in a diaper, right? She named the ridiculous. She went out there. And I was just like, oh, right. And I could relax,
Yeah.
right? All
Yeah.
right. It's going to be okay. It's
Yeah.
going to be okay. We'll get over this hump. It's
Yeah.
perspective.
Good point. Good point. And kind of allows you to take a breath and go,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I've gone a bit too far down that path.
Yeah. Like I have a very good friend, my friend Mary Beth. She's a hilarious woman. And I had this like little minor kind of phobia with my GPS. Like I wasn't going places because I didn't trust my GPS because I would get confused and I'd be on the highway and it would say, take exit 35 to the Thung Tan Tran, and it would give me like 15 different directions. And I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I just kind of like started withdrawing. And I said, can you just sit with me while I'm going to this place and just be like my support animal or something? Could you be? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she's talking to me and stuff like that. And we get to the point where we have all these choices of all these different highways and it's spitting directions at us and stuff. And I'm like, does she mean there? Does she mean there? And she goes, Rita, it's okay. Like, take one of them. I think it's this one. You're not going to end up in Wyoming. And I was just like, oh, right. Yeah. She's like, it'll just reroute you. And I'm like, but what if it reroutes me to a place that doesn't really exist? Because that happened one time, and I might spinning out.
Yeah.
And she's like, just her saying, you're not going to end up in Wyoming. That's what I needed to hear.
I love it. And I'm thinking about that in my own life too. We get so stressed out about some of these things.
Yeah. Little piddly things that they could stop you. It was the pebble in my shoe for a long time. Now my GPS and I are good friends. And I swear, if you're not good friends with your GPS, it will send you to places you don't want to go. Like I've seen it do weird stuff, but only because I had an adversarial, non-trusting relationship with it. It's true. Now that I love it, I'm like, you're going to get me where I need to go, sugar. You are. I'm going to put you on an English accent too, so you don't even classier.
I do love that. Yeah. And mine sent me through a townhouse apartment complex parking lot once. So I might need to work on my relationship with mine too.
Right. So and I think humor can be almost in any situation. Obviously, there's some where people don't welcome humor, but in my life, it pretty much, my dad's funeral, there was a lot of humor in that.
Mm.
There, my husband and I, he was, whispering things to me that I was like, shut up, you're going to make me laugh, at a funeral. But that's just the way it rolled. And my dad had a great sense of humor, so I think he would have probably appreciated it.
Yeah.
So you can stretch it into different places. And what I do now, I mean, I have my regular coaching clients, but I also coach women who want to do stand up as a hobby, not professionally. Maybe they go on professionally, but my class is really like, hey, you want to get a tight 5 and be able to do something? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's not a euphemism, tight 5, just so you know.
I
We all
assume
want a tight
5
five, I
minutes.
think,
Is that
but
what you
yeah.
mean? 5 minutes?
Exactly, a tight 5 minutes, really funny 5 minutes. And all of these women came in thinking, I'm not that funny. I don't feel comfortable behind a microphone. Some version of that. I don't know if I can do this. And all of them came out really funny, like funny, like you're funnier than me. Basically, you're take it on the road, sister. You got it. Just go.
Okay, so this is exactly where we're going with this conversation because I suspect that there are a lot of people listening who are thinking, well, I'm not that funny. And
Yeah.
so you can tell me about humor all you want, but I'm not that funny. So I don't know what you expect me to do. So clearly, we have an answer for them, do we?
Well, if they're in my vicinity, they could take my class. But really, I would say first of all, liar, liar, pants on fire. I just say that to most of them because as soon as they get up there, they something goofy, and then you're like, you're such a liar. Come on, you are funny. It's like when people say I'm not creative.
Mm,
People say that all the time. I'm not creative. Well, you're creating every moment of your life. Just so you know, in case it hasn't dawned on you, you're creating it all.
good
So
point.
you can be funny. Sometimes people are unintentionally funny.
True.
I mean, think of some great comics. Stephen Wright, for instance. Stephen Wright, all he did was he had a complete deadpan and he would just say hilarious things, but complete deadpan. And in fact, that's some of the best humor is the humor where you're not trying to be funny. You're acting like everything's normal, but it's funny.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes it's just being yourself. A lot of the women in this class, so a lot of times they'll come and they'll have a crappy week, and then I go, just go, just go to the mic and talk about it, and they'll be like, and then this happened, and we start laughing, and then by the time they're finished, they come back and they're like, oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I feel so much better.
Gut health is such a huge part of living healthy. When I learned that the health of our gut affects our hormone levels, how our digestion works, what we absorb into our body in terms of nutrients, and even how our brains work, I was surprised. Every morning, I started using a Green Gut Glow drink to make sure that I was taking care of my brain, skin, nail, hair, gut, and making sure I get enough veggies because I don't know if I would eat enough otherwise. I have felt a difference minimizing puffiness and bloating for sure. Go have a look at omgteachme.com/recommendations and look for the Green Gut Glow Plus.
Because so much of what frustrates us and everything is just the ridiculousness of not life. It's the scene that goes on in my mind all the time when I think about stressed out moms is Lucy and Ethel in the chocolate factory, right? Which is I understand for a lot of women, they've never seen that before. It's from the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, perhaps. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, so it was very much in my world. But that whole scene where they both have a job in this chocolate factory and they have to get the pieces in the box and the assembly line's coming too fast and they don't know what to do and they're doubling down and they're panicking and they're putting it in their bra and then they're eating it and it's throwing it and stuff like that. That is so much what a lot of professional moms deal with.
Yeah, true.
Whether they're professional in a profession and at home or not, they're dealing with like a chaotic, how do I do this? How do I bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan? Like how do I do all that stuff without driving myself crazy and not seeming like it's like this assembly line that I can't keep up with.
Yeah. And at the same time, with lots of people telling us that we need to rest and calm down and we're not productivity machines. And I say all those things
Yes.
and believe all those things,
Yes.
but it's a hard combo sometimes.
Oh yeah, because America runs on Dunkin', right? That's one of the big America runs on caffeinated people, apparently, according to Dunkin' Donuts. And so it's sort of this go, 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 go. But we want you to rest and take care of yourself. So we get two different messages. And so
Yeah.
what I have proposed with my coaching is let's do something revolutionary. Let's do something countercultural and let's not beat ourselves up. Let's actually be really kind and gentle with ourselves and give ourselves the space that we need and laugh at ourselves and the world, because it's impossible to do what all those shoulds that we
Yeah.
come up with. That's
Yeah.
impossible.
I fully, fully, fully agree. And a lot of what I talk about when I speak or when I coach is that we're often our own worst enemy because of all
Yes.
that self-talk that leads us kind of right into the next thing I wanted to ask you about, actually.
Sure.
So well done. So one of the books that you wrote, I was fascinated by, and that one is The Self-Compassion Project. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about now.
Yes.
Yeah. It I think we have this misconception that if we're kind to ourselves, then we won't achieve the big thing or be able to, do well at something or whatever. We have to push, push, push harder instead of being kind to ourselves.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I tell me how that book came about.
Well, I was terrible to myself. Let's just say that. It came about from a place of not being good to myself. And I had hired a coach. I had sort of my hit bottom moment, and I hired a coach to help me. And because I had all these voices in my head that were all like, "You're a failure. You don't know what you're doing. You quit things after 6 months. You're a terrible mom. Blah 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 blah." Right, the whole thing. So I hired this guy. I thought he was going to help me with my business. I thought he was going to help me close people, really, because he had a business
Hmm.
background and he was a coach. And the first conversation he had with me was, he said, "Rita, just for now, just this moment, can you be kind and gentle with yourself?" And my first reaction was to go, What the hell are you talking about? What is the
What
point of that? What good? No good can come out of that, right?
exactly?
And then I was like, all right, I'm a great student. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give it the old try. So for about 30 seconds, I just was kind and gentle with myself, as I could imagine I would be, you know? And for that 30 seconds, I wasn't beating myself up. I wasn't a terrible person. I wasn't a failure. I wasn't a quitter. I wasn't a screw up, terrible mom, whatever that list was. It just put it on pause. And I started to cry because I was in such relief.
Hmm.
It felt like a relief to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I don't know. I don't remember experiencing this. And so I, once again, in my mind, I went, pay attention to this. This is big. And then, I talked to him and decided to hire him, got off the phone. And then, of course, I berated myself again within 5 minutes of that. But
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, went back to the old stuff. But I thought, wow, that was pretty amazing. And it started me on a road of taking care of myself, having time for lunch, meditating, working out, getting a babysitter, maybe more than I did,
Right.
all those things, questioning whether what I was doing was actually even fun for me or whether it was just sort of, I see the road and that's how I'm going to make my money and I'm going to retire my husband and we're all going to be great. And my husband's like, I don't want to be retired. Like that was another one. I didn't really ask anyone if they wanted what I wanted. I just kind of was just like, this is it. This is the plan. Shut up. Just shut up and let me do it. And he's like, I don't want to retire. So I just noticed that was significant. And then I also noticed how I had all these reasons not to do it. If I'm kind and gentle with myself, I will be sitting on the couch with rollers in my hair, eating bonbons while my kids are running around with BB guns.
Ooh, right. The opposite extreme, fully.
Yes. Yeah, I just going to be a disaster. And then, my coach was there obviously to tell me, "No, that won't happen. Like, I know this is your mind trying to scare you out of this, but really if you're kind and gentle with yourself, you're going to have so many more ideas about how to make your life better than you do now." Like it's
Mm.
just going to open things up, just like humor does. It's just going to open things up. It's going to give you wiggle room. It's going to give you space. And you can ask yourself, one of the things I do with people when I bring them through the self-compassion process is they ask themselves the question, what do I need? What do I really need right now?
Hmm.
And oftentimes, sometimes we don't know. That's good to know that you don't know what you need. But sometimes it's just like, I need a break. I need a
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah.
I need to leave the kitchen while my kids are screaming in it. Catch my breath, right? Instead of screaming back at them, you
Yeah.
know? So I realized that if I could just pause have that kind and gentleness with myself, ask myself what I need. Most of the time, I had an answer that really led me down a different road that was so much better than I would have done if I just was like, oh, I can't believe you. You're blah, blah, blah. And then you're remorseful, and then you feel worse about yourself. And then this cycle continues, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about this that I'm like trying to think how to describe it. Whether we're talking about being kind to ourselves or we're talking about humor, it's kind of like, it just like, it's this lighter energy. Or,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I get that that maybe then allows space for ideas and space for a different way of thinking, because it's like you get out of this rut and it kind of lightens up or something.
Absolutely. It's a lightening of the heaviness. And that's why I think that's why people go to comedy shows and they like to watch humorous things, because they need that release. And the same reason why people seek out someone who's going to have mercy on them, because they don't know how
Yeah.
to do it for themselves. And we all have, well, I would say most of us have at least one person in our life, some point in their life, that just adored us, that just had such compassion for us. Not everyone has it. I know exactly who it was in my life. And I think, well, what would she say to me? And
Mm,
she'd be like, oh, you're doing great. You're doing wonderfully. I'm amazed by you. I'm so sorry you're suffering with that. You don't deserve to suffer with that. What do you need, honey? Let me give it to you. So it's becoming that person who was on the outside. You're kind of reparenting yourself.
yeah. I love that. I love that. And even if it wasn't the parent, probably there was somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, a mentor, someone. Maybe it was your best friend in school who just always had your back.
Yeah. And I often say, would you speak to your friend the way you speak to yourself? It's
Yes.
kind of like what we're talking about. Like we need to be that friend to ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Or what would your dog do right now? Like sometimes you go,
Ooh,
if you have a pet, that pets are pretty unconditional with their love, especially dogs. Cats, I don't know. Cats are sometimes like, whatever, just feed me. But dogs, especially, are so forgiving and so like, just want to be with you and adore you and can't wait for you to come home. So maybe you have the compassion of your dog for you.
love it. Love it. Yeah. And there's some humor in there too, isn't there? Because
Yeah.
dogs are funny.
They are funny. They are funny. Yeah, dogs are great, and it's God spelled backwards. So just a thinker there.
Ah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, yeah. Go down any rabbit hole you want with that one.
Yeah. I love how this has kind of come all around in a nice package, because when we're talking about humor, we're not talking about, making fun of people and
Yeah.
like this harsh humor. We're talking about letting life be funny, right? And letting it be
Yes.
light. And I that's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, and just sort of like a lot of the stuff the women in my class talk about are just stuff they've gotten into, like situations, whether
Yeah.
it's vacationing with their relatives or having a spa treatment they've never had before and then not even knowing what it was and then freaking out and then I just paid for that, like or whatever. Just different situations people find themselves in. And they could be everyday situations, but they could be hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. And there's so many health benefits to laughter. So, I mean, if we can, and smiling even, if we can be that for other people, make them smile, make them laugh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you can make someone laugh, yeah, that's a huge gift. And
Yeah.
sometimes I just remember that when I do my show, I'll say if I can get one person to laugh, mission accomplished.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I set the bar really low, Cheryl. I just want you That's the secret. Set the bar really low.
Well, you know what? You're joking. However, my coach once said to me when I was starting the podcast, she said, what if just one more person this
Yes.
week listened? Would you
Yeah.
be happy about that? And I was like, of course. I hope they love
Yes.
it. So, I mean, that's still valid. Totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It matters. Every additional person that we can help or that is entertained or whatever.
Yeah, for that moment they've relaxed.
Yeah.
They've released.
Whew. Oh, well, I feel good. I've released my stress.
Oh good. Oh good.
Well, okay. So you are located in the New York area. Tell
Yes.
us how people could connect with you, find you, learn more about you, all that sort of thing.
I would say don't stalk me, please. No stalkers.
Maybe
No,
not find you.
exactly. The way people find me usually is sometimes they could join my Facebook group, which is called Calm Mom Alliance. So that's a
Mm,
great way to find me because I'm in there pretty much every day saying something, asking something, having a conversation. And there are a lot of practitioners in that group too because we kind of work as a team to help people. I know I can't do everything for everybody, so I love having other practitioners in there. It's a great resource. And then of course my website is becomingawake.com.
great.
And you can literally there's a contact page. You can contact me. You can move around, ask questions, whatever you want to do there.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. And who knows, maybe there's some budding comedians that will end up finding you and learning how to be funny.
There you go. I'm
You never
open to
know.
it. People
You
are
never
talking about wanting a virtual class. I'm not sure how to do that, but maybe that's in the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, we never say never, I think is the
That's
answer
right.
to that.
I'm open.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to now ask you the question that I ask everyone. And I love this because we're creating a playlist on Spotify and Amazon Music, and this year's theme is nostalgia. So is
Ah,
there a song that comes to mind for you that just brings back good memories or a feeling of nostalgia that you really love?
I love the song "Let It Be" by the Beatles. It's one of my favorite songs. I like it because it only has four chords, and I can play it on an instrument if I'm trying to learn an instrument. It's the first one I go, let's see if I can play "Let It Be." And the message of "Let It Be" is, I mean, I don't know that there's a history to it, but for me, it's literally just letting things be, kind of like unburdening yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Perfect. I love that. I love that. This is year one was mood lift, and this one's going to be a mood lifting playlist as well because all the songs are just happy. They're just happy, which is great.
Oh yeah, I like that song too, actually.
Yeah. That one's on the year one playlist for sure.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope that we made the listeners smile. I can't imagine we didn't. And maybe start to think that, they have a sense of humor after all, and it's not
Yeah,
so hard.
there's so many ways you could do an improv class, do a stand-up class, just, go into a preschool, whatever you need to do to get laughing, just hang out in the playground, but if it looks creepy, then leave. But but no, it's true that there's so many classes now you can take on this stuff. It's amazing. You
Yes.
never know.
Yes. And actually, an improv class, I've been challenged by my coach to take an improv class. So who knows? We'll see.
It's really fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And it's been fun talking to you.
You too. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining us. I had so much fun talking to Rita. You can hear me giggling in the background through half of this episode. And I just want to go back just for a moment now and say, here are the things that I want you to kind of take with you and remember in particular. Number one, we can all be funny. If we just kind of let life be a little bit lighter and we maybe just look at things that happen in our lives at a slightly different angle, they can be funny. And it feels so good to see that angle and then to share that angle with other people. And truly, my favorite thing in the world is just laughing my head off with friends or family or whoever. And I believe it will be yours if you do it more. And then we talked about being kind to ourselves, related to her book and related to just the wise words that Rita shared about self-compassion. And it's still around the same idea of lightening the energy that we're going out into the world with, that we're looking at the world with. Be your dog, right? Let life be a little bit funnier, a little bit lighter. And that's not to say that we don't want to go for big things. And it's not to say that we don't want to achieve something big. It's to say that we want to be our absolute best and most awesome and most amazing selves. Stay tuned for the community this fall. And we want to do it with joy. And these are some of the ways we can do that. And so, boy, was this a turnaround from the complaining habit last week. Make sure to go back and listen to episode 66 if you haven't heard it already. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. OMG, did you know that we have mini episodes every Friday as well? Make sure to follow OMG Teach Me in your favorite podcast app so you get all the goodies. And if you're just finding this podcast and you're kind of wondering where to start, I have a curated mini series for you to help you stop self-sabotaging, because we all do it. So head over to www.omgteachme.com and sign up when you get the pop-up box. We may not have learned all these things in school, but they sure are powerful now.